I was on the floor of the United States Senate a day or so ago because we sought unanimous consent for a measure that I have helped to lead. It's called Access to Family Building Act. This proposed federal law would essentially guarantee the right of women to in vitro fertilization, IVF. A common practice here in Connecticut and around the country, because it enables people who want to have children to build families. Access to IVF is so fundamental to women's health care, reproductive rights. And a number of years ago, when Amy Coney Barrett was nominated to the United States Supreme Court, I asked in the course of the nomination hearings, would it be constitutional to criminalize IVF? People thought that question was so far-fetched and abstruse. Why would anyone ask it? Well, that question right now is on the front burner. That question now is on the minds of women across the country, because women and families and men are scared and angry by the prospect that rights to IVF will be taken away. And I'm here to say I trust women and I trust families to make decisions about whether to seek IVF treatment. And I want to guarantee to those women and their families access to this medical care. I want to guarantee providers protection when they perform this treatment. And I want to make sure that insurers are safeguarded against penalties. And the way to do it is in federal law, to embody that right in the Access to Families, Building Families Act. This federal measure will protect women and families across the country, no matter where you live. Now, the Alabama legislature just passed a measure because they were so embarrassed and ashamed by their Supreme Court ruling. They went right to work and they passed a new law. But you know what? That law really isn't going to protect anyone in Alabama, because the Alabama Supreme Court made its decision based on the Alabama state constitution, which trumps any legislative measure for the people of Alabama. The only way to protect the citizens of the United States and women who want the right to IVF is to pass a federal law. And that's why we're going to fight for the Access to Building Families Act.
Hello, I'm Mark Leondires. I'm the medical director at In-Vitro Fertility, and I've been practicing reproductive medicine for the past 30 years here in Connecticut for the past 25. And the reason why I'm here today is everyone who wants to have a family from all walks of life to use this amazing combination of science and technology known as in vitro fertilization to give them an opportunity for a pregnancy and have a child is life-changing. I think you need to understand that nearly 15%, or 1 out of 6 people, suffer from infertility. Infertility is a disease, just like diabetes and cancer. These people want to share the bond of love and children and have a family. And that's what we provide in reproductive medicine. Access to IVF is essential and life-changing in helping people have a family. IVF is a Nobel Prize winning technology. It's resulted in 9 million people walking on this earth that would not have existed without this combination of science and medicine and the talented people that were involved in their care. To pursue in vitro fertilization means that a person needs to bear the burden of hundreds of injections, a procedure to retrieve their eggs, and then highly trained laboratory professionals known as embryologists combine those sperm and egg together. Excuse me for a little bit of science, but every day all across the world after this combination, the incubator is opened the next day. And there's an assessment of whether that egg has become fertilized. If it has, it is considered an extrauterine embryo. This is an embryo that has a relatively low chance of making a reproductively competent cluster of cells. These clusters of cells are either transferred into a prepared uterus or they're cryopreserved for future attempts at pregnancy. It's really important to understand that 60% of the embryo transfers in the United States, according to the Society for Assisted Reproductive Technology, are previously cryopreserved embryos. It's important to understand that the majority of the pregnancies in the United States from IVF are from the embryo transfer of previously cryopreserved embryos. Sadly, even in 2024, less than 50% of embryo transfers are actually successful. In fact, less than 20% of extrauterine embryos in the laboratory even make a cluster of cells that has reproductive potential. This is human biology. This is why we do IVF. We retrieve multiple eggs and we have to make multiple embryos. It is the science. Additionally, we have to understand that infertility affects many different people. Infertility is essential for those born without a uterus, those people with cancer, men with low sperm counts, the entire LGBTQ plus community, and women with blocked fallopian tubes and other processes such as polycystic ovarian syndrome. It is life-changing. Not only is supporting family building my own life's work, in fact, that's how my family came to life. And in fact, out of our transfer of previously cryopreserved embryos, not every one of them worked. So this is personal. Access to IVF care is personal for millions of people all across the United States. My heart breaks for those people in Alabama, those patients, those providers that have dedicated their lives to helping these people. So that's why, myself and my colleagues are here today with Senator Blumenthal to support Senator Duckworth and his bill in the Senate of the United States to provide access to this life-changing in vitro fertilization care. We stand here today with all these folks, with Resolve New England, the American Society for Reproductive Medicine, to allow people to use this family-building technology to bring life into the world. The ruling from Alabama is anti-family, and we stand here pro-family. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. If you don't think this fringe movement is going to affect you, if you don't think that the anti-abortion movement, which is now sweeping certain state legislators in the country, is going to affect you, think again. If you don't think it impacts your life, think again. Because your sons and daughters may be students, members of the military in these states. These kinds of laws affect us here in Connecticut, even though we have protection in our own state laws. That's why we need a federal law that provides a guarantee.